Content warning. On this podcast, we discuss sensitive issues, including, but not limited to, swearing, tasteless jokes, situations of a sexual nature, and drug use. This podcast is not intended for children. Welcome to Bibliowrecks, where we read the world's worst books. I'm BamBam, and I'm alone right now because I'm actually in the editing room. We recorded for over 3 hours on this episode, and we did not sensibly pace it. So I'm here in the editing room trying to make it palatable. Last time we read about Lanik on Planet Treason and about his boobs and how racist him and his society is. He also murdered his clone, which was weird to say the least. Lanik was then picked up by a slave ship and taken as a captive. So we're going to come in hot from that situation. So I hope you guys enjoy.
And we're back for more racism. How are you doing, Bam Bam?
I'm doing okay, actually. Like, this is like it's pretty racist, but I've definitely read more racist stuff, unfortunately.
You know what's wild is he lives down in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Lives, like, currently, like, still alive?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's still alive and still writing.
Oh, yeah. Jay did say he just came up with a book last year.
Yeah, published it. He's been publishing all through the 2010s.
That's so weird.
So Lanik has been captured by slavers. So the ship is from a place called Singer, but the family are called the Wankier.
What?
Wankier. They're the Wankiers.
I be wankier than you? Question mark?
Such an odd name. Like,
yeah.
I understand he has a hard time coming up with clever names, but I thought that was just a very odd. They're Wankier.
I mean, it's a choice.
So Lanik is stuck on the ship for 5 months, and he starts growing extra limbs because he's a radical regenerative. And without all that exercise, all those extra calories just go toward growing new limbs.
Is that how that works?
In this moment in time, it does. In this part of the novel, at this moment in time.
But it's not consistent?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
It's like, hey, nothing weird's happening.
Just at this moment in time, he has extra calories, no exercise, and he grows extra limbs. The food and water come down in a bucket. They go back up. So he's in the hold in a little cell on his own and no one sees him. He resents being stuck on a boat. Quote, "I am a horseman, not a seaman. My idea of traveling is with surging flesh between my legs, not bounding from side to side."
For a homophobic man, this is the most homosexual thing I've ever read.
Yeah. So he's growing extra limbs. He can't move around, but he mentally goes over the history of the families on treason. 3,000 years ago, a group of intellectual elites tried to take over their homeworld government that got exiled by spaceship to the planet called Treason. Each family had some academic skill. Genetics, physics, geology, botany, theology. And I'm not going to bore you with the list of families and their abilities. Yeah. Most of it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah. It's just an open moment for some exposition, I guess.
Yeah, because he's like going insane and having waking dreams and not dealing with being a prisoner and... Oh, poor him. So he hears the other slaves in the other cells being taken up on the deck to get some exercise. Because they're going to be farming slaves. They're going to be like physical laborer slaves. He is going to be in the circus, so they don't take him up. And he is extremely jealous of them getting to see sunlight and the ocean and feel air on their faces. So he starts yelling, let me up, ah, shut up or we'll cut off your balls. And he's like, that's fine, just let me up. Because he knows he'll grow another set. He's there like, we'll cut your tongue out if you don't shut up. He's like, that's fine. Just let me up. Because nobody else in the world knows that they are radical regenerative.
Right.
This is a secret. And I'm like, how could you keep that secret for 3,000 years?
Yeah. That's it. At the very least, it's a very original situation.
It is, and that's one of the things I do love about his stuff is he comes up with some really funny creative ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So they are tired of him yelling. They throw down a rope, and he uses his 4 arms to grab the rope, and they haul him up. They all start screaming and praying when they see Lanik because he's naked. He has 4 arms, 3 pairs of testicles, 2 breasts, and 5 legs. 2 hearts, 2 noses, 3 ears on the left side of his head, and looks like a monster or a god. So they think they've pulled a sea monster out of the brig, and they're crying and screaming and begging for forgiveness, and they stab him through the heart, but he has another heart.
Right.
So he just keeps on swinging, and they shoot him with arrows, and that doesn't slow him either. So they're like, what can we do? Please, please forgive us. And he says, drop me on land. So they say, okay. And they put him in a longboat, and they take him ashore, drop him off, and he can't see because he's been in a hold for 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And when he turns around and he can finally see, he's at the edge of a desert. And if only I had kept my mouth shut in my comfortable, wonderful, well-watered cell. If only I had said things to dispel the crew's fear. If only I had been born a moose.
What? What the fuck does that mean?
He just hates living this life.
Oh, okay.
He only gets bad luck, apparently.
Yeah, I'll be.
And moose have good luck, maybe?
I mean, they can dive underwater.
Yeah.
I don't know. That
don't
doesn't
know.
really have anything to do with anything, but neither
If
does...
only I'd been born a camel would have been more appropriate.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So he's able to walk on his many limbs naked, and he starts walking into the desert. He expects to die, but he walks long enough to find shade. So, like, there's these sort of mountainous areas, but the desert has no insects, no plants, no animals. It is completely barren. It is only sand and sky. There's no water. There's nothing there. So he walks and he walks and he walks, and he lays down, and his heart stops beating. He had another one, so I don't know what the point of that was. That's just what it said.
So what? So wait, what's wrong with the one heart? Like, does he just have like a random cardiac issue? Like, one's just dead, but for some reason this other one is fine still.
It's so that he can make this dramatic, and then I died. But not really. So he wakes up, and a man boy is leaning over him. He asks for water, and the boy looks at the sand, and a pool of water appears out of the sand. So he thrusts his face into the water and drinks and drinks and drinks until he feels better. Now, these people aren't really described, which means they're white people.
Oh, okay.
They're just very tanned and have sun-bleached hair.
Huh.
And they're all naked. And they're all men. So the boy man says, why are you like that? So strange. Lanik replies, God knows I wish I weren't. And he passes out. The family the boy is from is called Schwartz.
No, stop.
The desert people. Yes.
Schwartz. Like the Schwartz be with you.
I don't know.
Mel Brooks?
I think I saw that when I was a kid.
It was Spaceballs.
I was offended by that movie because I was an isolated child and it had penis fighting.
Yeah, you need to go back and watch.
I might be okay watching it now as an adult, but when I saw it when I was a teenage girl, we couldn't even say the word pee.
Yeah,
so,
you were Christian offended.
Yes, I was isolated Christian offended. Yeah. I wasn't allowed to watch the original Star Wars at that time. I don't know why my dad borrowed Spaceballs.
Yeah. What year did Spaceballs come out?
It's been a while, but it was,
I'm just wondering who stole from who. Like, did Mel Brooks steal from this bizarre? Because those are the only two places that I've heard that word. Schwartz.
Schwartz, I think it's just a name. I think it's like a Germanic name, isn't it? Mel Brooks has many better creative ideas. I don't think he would have bothered stealing from this. Okay.
Sorry,
This whole
super
chapter
tangent.
is just a character upgrade disguised as storytelling. So back when you did the Lit RPG episode and you had to sit there and the character was getting upgraded and we were just describing it.
Yeah.
That's what this chapter is. I think that Orson Scott Card painted himself into a corner and needed an escape. This is where the story breaks because Lanik has all these extra limbs. He can't feed himself. He can't walk hardly. He's a lumbering monster.
Yeah, and he's already established that he can't remove all of these extra body parts.
Right.
Because they'll just grow right back.
Right. So all of this has been interesting, but now he's stuck with, how do I fix this? How can I make it so my character can continue to go do things? Because you would kind of expect him to just become a circus centerpiece, like the slavers thought he would be.
Yeah.
The Schwartz have magic sand rock powers and magic carbon powers.
Why?
Because Orson Scott Card needed to upgrade Lanik.
Wait, are they geologists?
Yes.
Okay.
They're descended from the geologists, and they can pull water from deep in the earth, and that's where that came from. They show Lanik that they can make mountains come out of the sand. They can turn rock into sand so they can climb up the side of the mountain and little footholds appear where they want it to be.
So they're earthbenders.
Yeah, like rock earthbenders, basically.
You heard it here, folks. Orson Scott Card created the hit show Avatar.
I don't think you should shame Avatar like that. It's very rude to Aang and all them. So there's a boy named Helmet that
Okay, I'm going to stop laughing.
The boy man who found him. And he's the one who takes Lanik on this learning how to earthbend journey. So they climb up a cliff, and he tells Lanik to jump off of the cliff. Wait, reverse. I forgot to mention, they use their carbon power to take away all of his limbs. That was wrong. And they left him a perfect human body. No ovaries.
No tits?
No tits.
How would they know to take the ovaries, though?
I don't know, because they could have given him a vagina and just taken away the testicles.
Yeah, they wouldn't have necessarily not, like, he had the boobs there.
Right, they might not have even realized he was meant to be male and wasn't meant to be female. Whew, lucky escape. No, now...
Yeah, that would have ruined the story if the main character was female. Like, oh, we gotta throw this one away. Let me start over.
Now. So they upgrade his body. He goes from having all these limbs to having only 2 arms, 2 legs, no ovaries, no breasts. He no longer needs to eat food or drink water or breathe. And he will no longer die. He's immortal because they're immortal. They can change their appearance. They can change their age. They are ageless. They do not die.
All right, sure.
That's why I'm saying it just feels like a character upgrade, and we need to just throw powers at Lanik.
How do Mormons feel about Jewish people?
I don't know, but I don't think it's good.
Because I feel like there might be like a through line.
Aren't they the ones who think that real Jews came to the U.S. back in when, and then the people here were like descended from the real Jews and the fake Jews are in the Middle East or something? Aren't they part of that? Don't they believe in that conspiracy theory? I
think it's something like the Native Americans that were here were like a banished tribe of Israel.
The 13th tribe of Israel?
Yeah, something
I've
like
heard that theory too, like that conspiracy theory.
I think that's the Mormon thing. I don't know much about Mormons.
I don't know much about like Mormon beliefs or their history.
Yeah.
Just some I've caught from like other podcasts, and I do have a friend who's Mormon, but it's not one of those things, oh, what do you believe about Black people? You know, that's just not something that generally comes up in conversation when your kids are playing together.
I'm just sensing a through line here because there's these mystical, immortal magic folk that are named a traditionally Jewish name. that live in the desert.
Damn. Oh, you're right. I didn't even think
And,
about that.
I mean, there's also like the golem thing, like some Jewish traditions.
Right, because they could magic rock and
Right.
make the golems.
Also, Moses did that thing where he hit a rock and it made water.
And water came out. And they live in the desert in
Yeah.
isolation from everyone around them. No one even knows they exist.
Okay. So this is a different kind of racism now.
Possibly. Along the noble savage idea in that they're mystical, otherworldly, and not really human.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm really glad that you're thinking about those things because I was just
Slogging through.
And it's just like, oh, it's my God, it's so funny. He loves Helmet, but no homo. Literally.
What?
They're like embracing, but not sexually. And he loves him. And Helmet is like, jump off the cliff. If you're pure of heart, the sand will catch you. And that's how you gain your sand powers. So he has to leap from this 200-foot cliff, but the sand will reach up and pick him up and gently cradle him like a baby. Because the sand, the rock, the earth is a sentient character in this novel. And by jumping off the cliff and getting caught by the sand, Lanik now can commune with the earth and make it do whatever he wants. Earthquakes, sand moving around, pratfalls. He has the power to speak to the earth and make moves. So it's more than earth bending, like from Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
This is like God powers. This is like he is now God of the earth.
Like he's already functionally immortal, and now he's extra immortal?
Extra immortal, doesn't need to drink. He photosynthesizes. He gets his life from the sun. He doesn't have to breathe. They don't age or die. So because of their DNA powers.
So he's a Solartarian that
regrows instantly because he's also Deadpool.
Yeah. Except not funny or charming in any kind of way.
No. And still 15 years old. Because this is 2 months later. No. 5 months in the ship. 2 months in Kumi. So yeah, this is less than a year later.
Yeah.
So Lanik learns the rock manipulation powers. In fact, he's still extra special, and his skull grows to allow room for his brain to expand behind his ears. His head grows, so he has bulges behind his ears because he is super, super special. They tell Lanik that he has surpassed even their abilities, and they aren't as strong as him anymore.
Oh, of fucking course. Was Orson into phrenology?
Makes you wonder.
Yeah,
and makes me think about your Jewish thing and weird head shapes.
I don't want to know anything else about
I know. I don't either. I'm so annoyed. I'm like, I should look him up. No, I don't want to. Oh my God. I do know a couple things about him, and this might be a good time to talk about that. So I had read an interview where he was talking about how he saw all these little boys dressed up as Darth Vader at Halloween. And that really deeply upset him. Because the idea of a bad guy being idolized by anyone was the worst thing he could imagine.
Like just the puritanical total lack of any kind of nuance.
Yeah. So all of his good guy characters have to be completely pure and good.
Perfect.
They have to be perfect. And his bad guys are just bad. They're just evil.
For the sake of it.
For the sake of it. He never ever wants any of his characters that are bad to be likable or for you to look up to them or to even understand them.
Yeah.
That is a huge limitation in his storytelling. I feel like this is kind of where he sets the line in the sand of this character is pure. Never mind, he has killed 5 people up till now. The sand accepted him.
Well, I mean, those weren't white people.
Well, the two soldiers who tried to rape him were white.
Oh, were
But
they?
they were trying to rape him.
Yeah.
So that's a
I
valid
mean, that
killing.
yeah, that is justified. I will give it that.
The Nkumi he killed escaping from the tree city, those were justified because he was fleeing for his life.
Mm.
You know, all of these other situations where he killed someone, he has his own internal justification.
Mm-hmm.
And so the sand accepts him as pure. Because the idea is you cannot manipulate the earth if you're impure. And that is a through line in the story.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, the earth is full of impurities.
The
Like,
rock,
just as a symbolism kind of thing.
the rock feels pain when anyone dies. The earth feels
Why?
pain
What?
when there's murder. So when there's war, the entire earth is screaming the whole time.
Oh my god.
And the Schwartz are connected to that power. And they also feel intense pain from all the murders going on around them. You okay there? You all right, bud?
I just went back to Spaceballs again.
What was the Schwartz? Can you remind me? I don't know what it was.
The Schwartz. It's kind of the stand-in for the Force in Star Wars.
Okay.
And you get these Schwartz rings, and that's the penis lightsaber.
Oh, so it was a ring you held that had the laser
Yeah.
light that came out?
Yeah.
But they had to hold it at their belt.
I mean, I don't think they had to, but they both chose to for sure.
Okay.
Like, I think that was just for the joke, but yeah, they
Okay.
wore a ring, and that's where the laser came.
Okay, so may the Schwartz be with you is
Yeah.
basically may the Force be with you. Okay.
Gosh.
So Lanik is speaking to the earth, and he's asking the rock if he can go back to Mueller to save them from the Nkumi. Quote, I was no longer a radical regenerative, and I was twice the soldier my father was, and by far a better general than my brother. I was needed if my family was to endure. I asked the rock if one life could be more important than another, and it said no. I asked whether it was right to end one life if by ending it, many others could be saved. The rock said yes. So he's debating philosophy with the rock, but the rock has all this power, and he wants to use the power.
Mm-hmm. So he's gotta seduce the dirt to take him back home.
Well, and they're very concerned. The Schwartz don't want him to leave because he has this rock power. Are you okay?
I'm trying to stop laughing on it every time you say.
Well, we'll move on. We won't talk about them for much longer. It's okay. They don't want him to leave because he will take this ability with him, and anytime he murders, it'll be their fault.
Oh my god.
Because if he uses the rock to murder, that makes them culpable.
Maybe you should have thought about that before giving it.
Yeah. And they thought he would stay with them forever and become one of them. But he's like, no, I got all this power. I'm no longer a rad. I can go home and rule as king. Because he's still just a bloodthirsty soldier descended from this eugenicist, and he just wants to conquer the world and rule like his dad.
Mm-hmm.
He's no different and no better than anyone else. But he's pure of heart because the sand said so.
Right. Oh god.
He doesn't need sleep. He doesn't need food. He has the body of a perfect 16-year-old boy. So he's going to go home and fight the Nkumi.
Hey, Biblio fans, friends, and fiends. Just taking a moment to tell you how to find our growing community. We're on Facebook and Instagram, where we try to post as often as we can. We have a subreddit that will start as soon as we get over our crippling fear of it. And, of course, our YouTube. Look us up at Bibliowrecks, spelled Bibliowrecks. We would love to hear suggestions and chat about bad books there, as well as over email. Our email is bibliowrecks@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Now let's get back to that bad book.
Lanik is walking out of the desert. He's walking through the countryside to home, and he sees the entire countryside is burned. Towns are destroyed, and people run in fear when he says his name is Lanik Mueller.
Oh, God. Like, how do you interpret this any way except a villain origin story?
Truly. And that's the thing. If Orson Scott Card could allow himself to have any nuance or to allow this character to actually become evil, seeking the ends he wants, that could be an amazing story. That could be a really fantastic origin story.
Otherwise, this is just bizarre.
It is bizarre. It's really sad.
Like, I'm supposed to believe this character is, like, wholly good as he's, like, coming through the streets, scaring the shit out of people just at the sound of his name.
Right. So someone gives him clothes because all of the shorts are naked. One last time.
I'm not gonna laugh.
And the Mueller army finds him. They bind him hand and foot and haul him to his father's court where he's on trial for treason. This is all a surprise to him. What did I do? I didn't do no treason. Thousands have seen him, Lanik Mueller, lead the Nkumi armies to battle, and the Nkumi have conquered nearly the whole world. But it wasn't Lanik. It was his double that grew out of his guts. It must have matured and had his skills and memories, and regenerated its head and body. My producer's face is one of absolute horror, and I'm dying.
So wait.
The entire time he's been in the desert.
Yeah, I forgot about that wrangle too. Like, he made an accidental clone of himself. I feel like
brains in.
Yeah, and he's still pure of heart.
Yeah, he murdered himself, but he's still pure of heart.
Yeah, like, how is this anything but an allegory for abortion?
Or suicide.
Or suicide, yeah. I guess it's both in that case.
And at one point in the book, he refuses to kill himself because the murder of suicide hurts the earth just as bad as other murder.
I've just been cast our producer's phone. Evil Deadpool.
Where he split himself in half and regrew an evil half.
It looks like it.
Yeah,
the origins of the being known as Evil Deadpool are tied to... she collected numerous parts of Deadpool's body that he lost over the years and kept them in her freezer. That's nice.
Yeah, so that basically happened. Nobody believes that Lanik learned magic rock powers or lived in the desert or was in the sea in a boat. They are like, no, you led the Nkumi to conquer all of us. Now you're on trial. Why would I walk in here? 'Cause you're dumb. So he has been sentenced to be drawn and quartered. But I was wondering if he would just grow 4 of him. That's not really discussed. Anyway. I was thinking at this point, he could just make a clone army.
Yeah, that would be funny.
That would be the thing to do. So he's sentenced, they torture him, and they cut out his eyes and lock him in a cell. So Sonara is his girlfriend from the year ago that he knocked out and left behind. She comes to his cell at night and tells him they are going to escape. His eyes are growing back as he walks with her. The rate of his healing is
incredibly
very
inconsistent.
fast. So they pop out his eyeballs that evening. Middle of the night, his eyes are growing back. They meet up with Ensel, which is his father's name. Dinte and Ensel's second wife have taken control of the army and the court. So Ensel and Lanik and Sonara are fleeing. Ensel had assumed that the real Lanik was running Nkumi's army, so he let them ravage the countryside with very little resistance because he thought Lanik was coming back to rescue him from Dinte and his wife. In reality, it was not Lanik. That's what I call the clone. By the time...
I just got that. It was
Lanik
not Lanik. Who was it?
Lanik and not Lanik. Because I'm like, I have to name him, and he's this character now.
And the text doesn't give him like any stand-in title?
Nope.
Oh, that's weird.
I think it calls him not Lanik a few times, or false Lanik, or other Lanik. He's never given another name or title. It's It's so annoying. Most people distrust Ensel because he just let the Nkumi army walk all over him.
Mm-hmm.
And they hate Lanik because everyone's seen him head the Nkumi army.
Right.
So they try to sneak out of the castle, and Lanik creates a small earthquake to distract the guards. Dinte, his second brother, finds Lanik trying to escape, and he tries to kill him.
Mm.
But Lanik can see light-ish. He can, like, see vague light at this point. And he uses his rock powers to knock Dinte down, and then he grabs Dinte's sword and slits him from ear to ear for revenge for the previous assassination attempt back at the beginning of the story.
Petty, but I respect it.
Yeah. So they ride north, and they meet up with 300 loyal soldiers. They gather 8,000 soldiers, but Dinte, the new king, made a peace treaty with the Nkumi, and now they are hunting Ensel and Lanik with 120,000 men. The Nkumi hid the not Lanik as soon as he had returned to Mueller. So everyone believes that it was the real Lanik, and he was just bloodthirsty and deranged. And, like, they're described as pillaging, raping, torturing, burning crops, burning houses, coming in as just absolute psychos. Not conquering in a normal, oh, I'm going to own this land now. They were shown to be absolutely just bizarrely bloodthirsty.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fine way to show that, but that's how it is on both sides. Like, it shouldn't be like one of them is especially quote-unquote vicious or anything like that.
Well, and at the beginning of the story, Lanik was shown to be kind to the black slave girl that his family conquered and took slaves.
Yeah.
They took property and tribute. So it's just, he wants you to see the Nkumi as the most evil, bloodthirsty people on this whole planet.
Yeah.
And everyone hates Lanik because he's at the head of the army. But it's not actually him because he's really good. He wouldn't do that. He's a good boy.
You know what? I'm going to call him from now on Kennel.
Canal.
Good old Canal.
So there's 10 pages of just really boring, bizarre war strategy.
Gratuitous violence, whatnot.
No, it's just, oh, if we go here, but they'll find us there. Oh, we can flee and go down this river. Oh, they found us and we went the other way.
And it's just a bore.
It's just boring. Yeah. And it's absolutely pointless because they go to the forest of Kukui that he had fled to at the beginning.
Right.
And they only end up with like a couple hundred soldiers anyway. Because nobody wants to go into the dread forest Kukui and get killed.
Except for that one lady that lived there.
Yeah, and she
got killed by
soldiers because she like lived on the edge, and she's like, "Oh, it's fine, just don't eat the white berries." So he's like, "No, I went through it. I survived. We can all go in there." But everyone in the army's like, we don't want to die. We're not gonna die. So he goes in, and he and his father, like, they get into the forest enough that the Nkumi stop chasing them, and a bunch of the soldiers defect and run away. But they can just join Dinte's army because they're all Muellers, and it doesn't matter. So Ensel is this, he's just puffed up as being the perfect king, the perfect father, this great general.
Yeah.
And he's really this sad, pathetic old man.
Like, just really backseats it.
But he's also, he loves his father, and he's there to help him, and loyalty to his father is like that's his morality point. If he is being loyal to his father, that means he's good. So he and his father walk further and further into Kukui, and they leave Sarana and all the other people with the few hundred soldiers who came with them. They leave them like a day's hike into the forest, but they didn't bring them further in. So him and his dad are walking in. The daylight never changes. It's just always daylight.
Right.
Nobody shows up. Nobody talks to them. And Lanik is finally like, they're not paying attention to us. I'm going to make a lake disappear. So he uses his sand power to just disappear a lake. And instantly, two Kukui people show up and say, "Give us our lake back."
You fucking asshole.
Why would you come in here and steal our lake? Give it back. And he's like, no, not unless you help us and our soldiers. Why would we do that for you?
I mean, this is very
Because
colonial.
if you don't, I won't give you your lake back. So they finally agree after Lanik uses his sand powers to make pratfalls and make them fall over and just bully them.
Wow.
He just bullies them until they're like, fine, we'll help you. We magic time. So we can use our powers to turn your hundreds of soldiers into fast time. And we can speed through time, so when they go back out of the forest, it'll have been 100 years, and you can just conquer them.
What? What? What the fuck?
The Kukui have time magic.
What?
They change their own personal
Since
time
when?
streams relative to everyone else's time streams. Lanik likes that idea. Sure, I'll give you back your lake, and you can make my soldiers appear 6 months in the future, and no one will be expecting us, and we'll win. Ah.
What? I mean, yeah, but all they're going to do is get better infrastructure and more settled in and stuff like that. And I guess you get a surprise advantage out of it, but at that point, they have a home field advantage.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know, like the guys that are chasing after him are just gonna like sit out there for 6 months. Like, well, I guess we should just leave. Then they come after him.
So they agree that the Kukui should speed the soldiers' time up so that 100 years into the future, they'll appear out of nowhere and return to conquer the land. So he's like, yeah, just skip us 100 years to the future, thanks.
That's so weird. Just,
everyone would be dead by then.
Yeah.
What's the point? I don't know.
100 year, like,
that's what I
what
wrote.
are you going
That's
back to?
Everyone you knew would be dead. Even their grandchildren would be dead. So it would just be a completely new countryside.
Yeah, you've got like 3 generations of entrenched Kukui.
Nkumi.
Yeah, Nkumi.
Yeah.
Kukui was the forest.
Yeah. Kukui is time. Schwartz is sand. Nkumi are physicists in the forest of trees. It's a lot of people, and it becomes really
and they're just
struggle.
The names are weird.
They're very weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so they agree. He gives them their lake back. They walk back to where Sarana and the soldiers are. And what had been happening is you would walk in and some Kukui would see you and change your time stream so that you would be walking days and days and days. But in real time, it had been a couple hours, so the sun was always shining.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So they get back to the army and everyone is dead or gone except Sarana because they cut off her arms and legs and cut her throat as a message to, we hate you.
For 100 years?
No, they were going back to the soldiers to do the 100-year thing.
Yeah.
But when they get back, all the soldiers are gone. Or dead.
Okay.
So all of that was pointless.
It was a really stupid plan anyway.
It was a very stupid plan. So all that's left of all those people and all those plans is
just white.
Ensel, the king, Lanik, the son, and Sarana, his girlfriend. So they go and live with the Kukui and learn time magic.
Sure, why not more powers?
Yep, he needs another upgrade. Sarana is called Stump because of the missing legs and arms.
Wait, does she not grow them back?
She grows them back, but it takes time.
Okay.
It takes her like a week.
Just like the first, for the whole week. They're just like, hey, what are you doing there, Stumpy?
Yep. And she is so good at learning their Kukui time stuff that she slows her time down so slow that she looks like a stump sitting there. In her time, she's playing with a flower, but in their time, she's barely moving. And she can watch all the people fly by around her outside of her time bubble. So that's her thing that she likes to do.
Okay.
And so she goes and has sex with other boys and just becomes part of that community.
Good for her.
And Ensel is just a very depressed, angry old king who no longer has a kingdom. But he's still good and perfect because he's Lannick's father.
Right.
Ensel finally is able to kill himself in a river or a lake. He jumps off a cliff, breaks his neck, and drowns before he can regenerate. So that frees up Lannick to stop worrying about his dad, and he can really hunker down and learn this time manipulation technique now.
Convenient.
Yep. So he is not great at time control, but he can do enough to speed up or slow down his own time. He can't manipulate anyone else's, but he now has this new superpower. So he can speed up his own internal time, and everyone else is barely moving, and he is across the room. So it's like a magic trick. Did you ever watch the show Heroes? Where that I think he was like, maybe, was he a Chinese kid, like a Chinese American boy? And he had that time ability. And there was like a thing of if you made 1,000 origami cranes, you could have a wish. And so he goes into fast time and he does 1,000 origami cranes to wish for, I think, like somebody was sick and he wanted them to be better.
Right.
Kind of like that idea, but we need to have some more racism.
Oh, wow.
The Kukui are described as very, very, very fat brown people. They are lazy, they laugh all the time, but they're never actually happy.
God damn it.
Everything is pointless, and they just laugh all the time and never take anything seriously.
So they're just nihilistic. Okay.
Yeah.
Why are you being a dick about it?
Lannick loves them like immense self-propelled toys.
Literally not people.
Literally not people. He does not see them as people. That was a quote.
God. He is the worst.
Yeah, so he gains his abilities. He has the sand power. Now he has the time power. And he's ready to leave Kukui and move on with his adventure because this was just a pit stop to upgrade his stats.
The worst.
So Serana is like, no, don't leave me, but I don't want to go. And she's like crying, and her time speed is like super, super, super slow. So she's like barely moving, and everyone else around her's at their own time. He leaves her, leaves Kukui, and he's feeling all superior and deciding he's gonna save the world. From what? I guess the Nkumi. I don't know. Hello, Biblio freaks, geeks, and lovers. Bugs here. We wanted to let you know about our option to follow us on Patreon. We have a couple of tiers where you can listen to our bad book, bad movie review. We read a bad book and then we watch its bad movie counterpart. In the past, we've done Aragon, Shadow Builder by Bram Stoker, and we have a lot of different things in the future. Please let us know if you have any suggestions for future bad book, bad movie combos, and let's get back to the podcast. He wanders around various towns and countries, and then in this one village.
So he just leaves his wife there? Like,
he just leaves Serana there. She wants to stay there, so he just leaves her.
Oh, okay.
Kind of. Okay. You know how they always fridge the hero's wife in, like, action movies?
Yeah.
They literally do that here. He comes back and gets her later.
Oh my God.
She's literally frozen in this exact moment when he comes back to get her.
Literal oh my God.
Yeah, they just preserve her in amber at this exact moment, and he walks away and goes ahead and has his adventures.
Like, hey, I'm not looking at you right now, so you're clearly not going to be doing anything while I'm not here.
She does nothing. She doesn't even move her hand in the years between this and the end of the book. Because we can kill off his dad. His dad's unimportant. We can slash Dente's throat. We can move on. because you can kill those characters and it doesn't really affect anything.
Yeah.
But he wants Serana to be there at the end of the story,
Mhm.
so he has an easy pickup wife.
After he's done doing his
After
cool
he's
shit.
done doing his cool hero journey.
Mm-hmm.
And she will be the perfectly preserved 16-year-old girl that he wants. Because he's going to grow and mature, and she has to always, forever be a child.
Oh my god. Did he tell her to, like, slow
No, that was just her choice. That was her enjoyment of the time stream. Because people would pick up their own time stream choices.
Right.
So some people would live their whole lifetime in, like, real time in a week. And they would just fly through Earth. But in their own time, it's still years going by.
Sure.
Yeah. So he just wanders around trying to figure out what the hell he's going to do. And what?
Sorry. That's so funny too, because he made the main character to where he could, like, mess with time a little bit, but not to where he's going to have to continually explain it and expound upon it throughout the story.
He only gains enough time powers to cause plot points.
Yeah.
Because if he was better with it, then he would be able to skip all of these plot points. But no, he's not that good. So we have these other issues that come up to add to the story.
So just good enough to be a cool thing he can do when it's convenient, and something you can just totally forget about until then. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he's wandering around all these towns, and he gets seen by Mobueo Mawa. She's in a carriage being escorted by this huge Nkumi army, and she sees him, so he freaks out and he runs away. He doesn't want her to send the army after him, so he goes into fast time.
Oh.
And
I thought he was still scared of the giant black lesbian.
Probably that too.
Like, she's not interested in you, bro. You don't have boobs anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't have boobs. He's a perfect, beautiful 16-year-old boy now.
God.
So he goes in quick time and runs away, and it is up to Lanik to save the world. So he goes to Britain, the country.
Literal Britain?
It's just named Britain, Briton. And he lives in a countryside called Humpers. And the people there are called Humpers. And it's Humper country. The Humpers live in a very bleak, harsh climate. It's very, very cold at night. But since Lanik can survive without eating, drinking, sleeping, needing shelter, they see him as this ghost god angel character who just lives in the forest. So he becomes this mythology man of the wind or whatever. And then one day he sees a shepherd struggling to get his sheep over a hill. And he walks down and helps the shepherd move the sheep to a different pasture. Because the shepherd's dogs had died and now all the sheep were getting lost because it was only him. So he goes with the shepherd, helps with the sheep. They take him into the community. And they feed Lanik dinner. He doesn't have to eat, but he takes enough in his bowl to accept food as like the custom.
Right.
The wife prays over the food. And she feeds a bite of the stew from her bowl to her husband. The husband then feeds a bite of his stew from his bowl to Lanik.
Oh, is this the long spoons thing?
What?
There's this old biblical parable about the long spoons.
I don't know that.
Oh, it's like you've got a bunch of people that are like starving, and they have these spoons that are too long to dip into a giant soup bowl. Like they're too long to be able to like reach back and feed yourself. But the moral of the parable is you can dip it in and feed it to someone else. That way everyone gets fed.
Maybe. I hadn't heard that story. So it's quite possible this flew over my head then. So she prays. She feeds her husband a bite of her stew. He feeds a bite of his stew to Lanik. And then Lanik feeds a bite of his stew to the 3 little children who are watching. The shepherd looked at me with tears in his eyes and said, "You are welcome here forever."
For going with the flow?
Yeah, for feeding the children. But they instantly fall in love with him. He moves in, he lives with them, they give him their bed. He refuses and sleeps on the floor by the door because he's a good boy.
Well, he doesn't have, like, why would he have any feelings about anything at this point? Like, he already doesn't have to eat, sleep.
He's already inhuman with his abilities, and he doesn't have needs.
Yeah.
So he sleeps on the floor, tends to the sheep, and is treated the same as everyone else. And this is like his respite and his vacation because they just treat him like he's another person.
Didn't he
Everyone
just leave
is
his
so
wife?
poor. Yeah, we just found out that he had been, this holy and powerful being. But now, everyone treats everyone the same because we're all so dirt poor, it doesn't matter. But he doesn't have to eat, and he doesn't have comfort or issues with being cold.
So wait, he's just he leaves the people of the lake, the Kukui. He leaves the Kukui and his wife to go save the world, and then sees a large black lesbian, runs away.
Yeah, you're following.
Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna live in a totally new country. To where I can still be abandoning my wife and hide from the large black lesbian.
And I can tend sheep and tend the garden and be seen as basically a god. But
he's
I'm treated just the same as everyone else.
He's just being like, he's like trying to go somewhere where he can build up his own little mythology about himself.
Yeah.
That seems like more perfect to him for some reason.
It gets better. So he helps with the lambing. And when Vran, the mother, is having the 4th baby, she's having a difficult labor. He's not supposed to go and see a mother giving birth, but, fuck the rules when she's dying. So he goes in and takes his skill as a shepherd with lambing to shove his hand up there, push the baby back in, twist it around, and get it to come down the right way, breaking its back and breaking the mom's back at the same time.
Is that part of the story?
Yeah. But he has magic powers and he knits them back together perfectly and heals them such that she's better than she was after any of the other births.
Jesus Christ.
And the baby is healed and fine. He has healing powers.
Why couldn't he have just done a cesarean then?
Oh, that would have been...
Like, why do you gotta do it in the heart, like,
the worst way.
Like,
the baby was breech with a hand and a leg coming out her vagina. He reaches in there. It's a little different with a sheep because they have a lot more room. Like, their sides bulge out. There's a lot more space in there than a woman.
Flip it around, yeah.
Yeah, because our hips are kind of in the way when you're having a baby, whereas sheep have a little more area to shove it in there.
Right.
Yeah. So this is Orson Scott Card idea of human female anatomy. We can shove the baby back in there like a lamb, and our boobs hurt when we walk.
You know what it was? I wonder if he was like raised on a farm or something like that, and he helped with like one lambing.
Yeah, he was like one sheep.
Oh yeah, that wasn't that bad at all. I don't know what women are complaining about. They just shove it back in and twist it.
Yeah, because sheep don't cry when they have babies. They just go meh.
I bet that's what it was. Oh my god, I hate this fucking guy.
I hate this whole book.
Oh.
So he becomes known as the local healer man. He heals all the local sick and injured, and he heals sheep, and he lives with them for 2 years.
Great.
Yep. I don't really know why this whole part of the story even happened, really.
He's just...
It's just to show how good and pure he is, I guess. So, well, the guy in charge of Humpers is called Lord Barton. He sends a servant to fetch Lannick. Lannick refuses to leave until the planting is done, but he's actually feeling excited to do important things again. Because, in reality, helping women survive childbirth isn't important.
Mm-hmm.
Nursing boo-boos isn't important. That's basically women's work he was doing as an interim. You know, this was his little vacation between
he's like
going back
slumming
to...
it with the pores.
Yes. And now he's ready to get back on into the world doing important things. Yay. So excited. And they cry and wail when he leaves.
Of course. Just like his wife that he abandoned for no reason. Boy, I forgot how fun this episode was. I hope everyone had a really good time listening to this. We certainly had a good time recording it. If the ads in this episode seemed a little shoehorned, they were. I promise we do better in the future, but we got really excited with this episode, so we just kind of forgot to add ads in. But reach out on social media and our email at bibliowrecks@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out our Patreon. Thank you so much for listening. We enjoy making content that people like. And please, let us know about bad books that you know about, and we'll read them and talk shit about them like we do all the books we don't like. See you all next time. Bye.